Today we are going to go over a series of exercises on how to lift an arm that either feels heavy or stiff, or you always feel like your elbow's kind of going out to the side when you lift it up, or you get your arm up and it feels like it just isn't coordinated or you can't control bringing it back down. Anything like that, we are going to go over a series of exercises that will address those issues and hopefully restore normal arm movement. If you're new to this channel, I'm Tara, I'm a neurologic physical therapist, and on this channel we talk about anything and everything related to mobility, health, fitness, and mindset in the context of neurologic injury, with the end goal of empowering you with as many tools as possible to take ownership of your rehab and your health, to live an overall more active, more mobile, pain-free, happier, healthier life. And all that said, let's talk about why your arm might feel stiff or heavy, or you just feel like you don't have the coordination to reach that arm, extend that arm all the way up overhead. Well, it revolves around one kind of big picture concept that we call dynamic stabilization. And all that really means is that your rotator cuff muscles, which are very deep muscles that stabilize the shoulder, have to learn how to play nice with the bigger muscles on the outside of the shoulder that really help you to lift that arm bone up. When you lose this ability for all these muscles to play nice together, it can result in any of the things that I mentioned earlier. Either the arm just feels heavy, or you feel like you have to lead with your shoulder in order to get your arm up, or your elbow's always kind of flopping out to the side when you try and lift your arm up. Anything like that probably boils down to like kind of what we call like a dyskinesia, meaning that the muscles aren't coordinating well together, the rotator cuff muscles and the big muscles on the outside, and usually both of these things are occurring at the same time. It's not necessarily a timing issue with the muscles, but it's just tightness. Like the shoulder blade, which is part of that dynamic stabilization, that shoulder whole complex kind of moving, is just not moving at all. The shoulder blade's that scapula on the back side of the shoulder. So what we're going to do in this video is we're going to go over what I think are the most important stretches to do to kind of allow those rotator cuff muscles to lengthen, to allow that shoulder blade to move, and some of the other structures that stabilize the shoulder blade. And then of course, exercises to relearn how to coordinate the rotator cuff muscles deep inside the shoulder with the bigger muscles like the deltoids on the outside of the shoulder, how to retrain them to kind of coordinate together or play nice together. For those of you that are online doing any Google searches or anything like that, you know, a lot of times this is termed like dynamic stabilization, or you might also want to search or find exercises for that have anything like scapulohumeral rhythm or glenohumeral rhythm. Anything like that, any of those concepts are going to be addressed in this video. So that was enough rambling. Let's go ahead and dive into the stretches and the dynamic stabilization exercises that will hopefully get you on the road back to normal arm movement. All right, so as I mentioned, the first part of this exercise series is going to be to stretch all the structures that need to really be able to lengthen in order to fully reach overhead. Just clasp your hands together and you're going to reach those arms straight out in front of you. And then once you get it out there, you can kind of just lean into that shoulder just a little bit more, just to give it a nice stretch. And you want to hold that about a minute. And then the next stretch you're going to do, you're going to have your arm kind of in like a W position or like a goalpost position. You're just going to rotate your body kind of away from that arm. You should feel a good stretch on the front of the shoulder. Now pay attention that your shoulder's not coming up towards your ear when you do that. You really want to press it down as you rotate. If you want to deepen that stretch a little bit more, you can bring your leg across the back and that'll deepen that stretch across the front of your shoulder. And then next stretch, you're going to put your arm kind of like in a Y position, like a YMCA, and try and do that same stretch again. Again, you should kind of feel this all along the front of your shoulder. And then straight out to the side, and same thing. And again, you want to hold it for about a minute. And then the next stretch you're going to do is just put your arms back behind you and scoot your bottom forward. Again, you should feel that stretch all along the front of your shoulder, and you want to hold it about a minute. All right, so that was all the stretches, but now we're going to go into what I talked about of those scapular dynamic stabilization exercises. Now, what we're doing for this segment is we want to allow the shoulder blade to move again, but we also need to kind of pay attention and make sure that they're not allowing the shoulder blade to move too much. So we want the shoulder blade to move a little bit, but not too much. Now, where this becomes important is for those of you, when you get your arm up there, it either just wants to drop, or when you're bringing it down, you feel like a clunk. That usually means that your shoulder blade is just kind of moving all over the place, and could potentially mean that you would want to work on what we're going to go through now. You're going to get back into this position that we did earlier. And what you want to try and do is just slide your arm up and bring it back down. So in this position, we're kind of using the mat and sliding the arm along the mat to help assist with overhead reaching a little bit. So we want the shoulder blade to move, but because the mat is here and supporting our arm, it's easier to kind of keep that shoulder blade from moving too much. And then back down. Slide it back up. So for this exercise, what we're really focused on, again, coordinating that shoulder blade to coordinate with the muscles that move the arm bone. But for those of you where your elbow really feels like it's going out to the side, the key to this one is as you're working that upward motion, that you are trying to keep your elbow down. So again, you don't want that elbow kind of springing up in the air. You want to keep that elbow down as you roll the gym ball up. As usual, there will be a link in the description below for this kind of peanut-shaped gym ball. I really like these because they're a little bit more stable than a normal gym ball. So let me show that to you again. Hand resting on the gym ball. And again, you want to try not to let that elbow come up and out to the side. You just want to kind of slowly move that arm up and forward. As soon as you feel like that shoulder is coming up towards your ear, or the shoulder is dropping forward or pulling forward, then don't go any higher than that. So we're trying to get good, nice, rhythmic motion, coordinated motion of the shoulder blade and the arm bone. And then back down. And again, back up. And back down. So for this exercise, we're just working on bringing that arm up and out to the side. I like having a wall or having your back to a wall so that you can really think about keeping that shoulder back and not letting that shoulder drop forward as you're lifting that arm up. You want to try and stay in kind of a straight plane with your body as you're lifting that arm up. So let me show that to you again. Kind of keep the back of that hand against the wall as you lift it up. Now, if you feel like your shoulder is coming up to your ear, pay attention to that. Your shoulder should move, but definitely not in this first like 30 degrees. So from here to here, you really don't want any shoulder elevation. We call that shoulder elevation. And then once you get past there, there's a little bit of motion with that shoulder coming up. So here to about here, you don't want that shoulder coming up But then once you get past there, you'll see a little bit, but your main goal is to really just focus on keeping that palm against the wall and only lift the arm as high as you can without like the arm coming off the wall or that shoulder dropping forward as you lift. And then if you start to have any of those kind of abnormal movements, just don't go any higher than that and come back down. And then back up. And back down. Back up. And back down. What we're doing for this one is you're taking your hands in this Pilates ring, you're pushing your hands out and kind of keeping your elbows in as you reach those arms up. So the key to this one is a lot of times, if you have this, you know you have this, but your arm wants to your elbow kind of wants to go out to the side. So again, you're just pushing your hands out and you want to keep your elbows in and reach up all at the same time. So hands stay out, elbows in. And you want to reach up as high as possible and back down. Reach up and back down. Reach up. And roll it back. All right, now we're getting into some exercises that are getting a little bit more challenging because now we're going against gravity, but it's very similar to the exercise that we just did. You can do this with the Pilates ring or without the Pilates ring, but now very similar concept is you're just reaching up overhead, rolling that ball up the wall, and then back down. Reach up overhead, rolling that ball up the wall. And back down. And again, roll that ball up the wall and back down. And then from there, now we're going to go to like kind of a furniture slider up the wall and back down. Slide it up the wall. And back down, and again up the wall. And back down. Now, once you feel like you can do that, the next one is to go to a TheraBand and do the same thing. So you're still pressing the hands out, elbows staying in, and trying to reach up at the same time and back down. Try and reach up. And back down. Remember, we're trying not to get those elbows to kind of flare out. We kind of keep those elbows in. And reach up. And back down. And then from there, we're just going to try and put it all together and do kind of like bringing that arm up on a diagonal. This is going to be pretty challenging for a lot of you, especially if that arm's been really heavy for a long time. But what you're trying to do is just kind of like pull a sword out of your pocket and bring that arm up on a diagonal. So you want to kind of pinch those shoulder blades together in the back, especially if you're someone where you feel like a clunk when you're bringing that down. That makes that shoulder squeeze, those shoulder blades squeezing those in the back, even more important. But you're going to squeeze those shoulder blades like you're trying to pinch them together, like hold a piece of paper in between your shoulder blades in the back as you reach the arm up. And then slowly bring it down. Now, if you absolutely cannot do that at all, what you can try and do is lift the arm up, squeeze those shoulder blades first in the back, and then let it go and see if you can slowly bring it down. But the ultimate goal is that you can squeeze those shoulder blades and bring that arm up at the same time. And then once you get good at that, you can start adding resistance bands or even like a little weight in your hand and do the same thing, reaching that arm up. The key and the most important thing that I see that limits the ability for someone to raise their arm up in that direction is that scapular stabilization in the back. So really focusing on squeezing those shoulder blades as you lift the arm up and then bring it back down. And then that is it for this video. I hope you guys found this video helpful. I hope for those of you that have that sensation, or maybe you've been diagnosed with a frozen shoulder in the past, anything like that, these exercises might be valuable to you. If you found this video helpful and you want to see more videos like this and you haven't yet subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, turn on that notification bell so that you will get notified every time I upload new videos. I enjoyed spending time with you all today, and I will see you in the next video. Have a good day.